down on that cheat sheet. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at Unit 3. So first of all, let's take a review of those rules of exponents. So when you're multiplying like bases, you need to add the exponents. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So when you take a to the 6th times a to the 3rd, you add those exponents and you get a to the 9th. Then, next rule, when you divide like bases, now you're going to subtract the exponents. Remember, you should always be looking at where your larger amount of exponents lie, because that's where your answer is going to lie. So when you subtract those out, you end up getting a to the 3rd. Then, when you take a look at negative exponents, you have b to the negative 4th on the bottom and a to the negative 1 on top. So then what we want to do is we want to flip the location of each of those so that they are no longer negative, because we don't want negatives in our answer. So I'm going to flip the location of each of those. So b to the 4th goes on top and a to the 1st is going to go on the bottom. Remember, when you're writing exponents of 1, you don't have to actually write the 1 if you don't want to. Next, we're taking a power of a power. When you take a power of a power, you need to multiply your exponents. Now remember that 6 has an exponent of 1 with it. Okay, so then you can take that 2 and you can distribute it in. Most students forget that that coefficient also has an exponent of 1. So now you're going to multiply those in. So you have 6 to the 1 times 2, which is 2, and a to the 6 times 2, which is 12. So we have 6 squared and a to the 12. Well, 6 squared, we want to actually write that out as 36, and then we're going to have a to the 12. So the biggest thing when you're multiplying a power is to remember that coefficients also have an exponent on them. You might want to make a note to yourself about that on your cheat sheet. So let's take a look at a 0 power. So a 0 power equals 1. So if we have all of this crazy stuff and we're raising it to the 0 power, no matter what's in there, it's always going to equal 1. But remember that it's only the thing being raised to the 0 power that is going to be equal to 1. Next, let's take a look at adding and subtracting. So when you're subtracting, remember that you need to distribute that negative sign into everything in the parentheses that follow. Students who don't actually physically change the signs are ones that ends up with issues and forgetting the last terms and so forth. So I always suggest changing all of the signs. And then you need to combine like terms. Well, like terms are ones that have the same exponent. So like both of these are g to the 3rd. Well, when we subtract 4g to the 3rd minus 2g to the 3rd, we subtract the exponent or the coefficients, but remember that the exponents stay the same. When you are adding or subtracting like terms, you do not add the exponents. So we can get rid of those. Then we have negative 5g minus 4g. So because they're two negative numbers, it's going to get more negative when we add them. And again, we're going to keep that as g. We're not going to multiply it to be more negative. So let's take a look at number 8. So for number 8, I'm going to take and I'm going to distribute that negative into each of those signs. So then we have 3n squared. And then, oops, I want to write my answer in standard form. Silly Miss Humbert. Okay, so for it to be in standard form, your exponents need to be going in descending order. So the largest exponent is this 13n cubed here. So that's going to come first, is 13n cubed. And then we have 3n squared minus 4n squared. So when you subtract those, you're just going to end up with a negative 1n squared. You do not have to write that one coefficient. And then lastly, after that, is negative 5n. Okay? Next, let's go ahead and let's take a look at our next rule. Okay, so this is where we distributed in monomials to polynomials. So when you distribute, you're only distributing into the parentheses that follow each of these. So when you distribute, you're going to multiply coefficients and add exponents. Multiply coefficients and add exponents. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then you get t squared. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, and then you get t. 3 times negative 15 is going to give us negative 45. Then we want to take this 6t and distribute it to everything. 6 times 5 is going to be 36. Or 30, sorry. T times t is t squared. 6 times 2 is 12, and then we want to make sure that we maintain that t with it. So now we need to combine like terms. So we have 6t squared, that's our largest exponent, so we want to put it in standard form. 6t squared plus 30t squared, that's going to give us 36t squared. Our next highest exponent is t to the 1st. Well, we have negative 12 plus 12. That's going to cancel out. There is no t terms because that's going to subtract out to 0. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract 45. So remember, all of your answers need to be in standard form. So you need to combine like terms as well as make sure that all of your exponents are going in descending order. So let's take a look at number 8. So we're going to take that x and distribute it in. And then we're going to take that 2 and distribute it into the second one. Again, you're only distributing it into the parenthesis that follows. So x times 3x is going to give us 3x and then squared. 4 times x is going to give us 4x. 2 times 7 is going to give us 14x, and then 2 times a negative 3 is negative 6. So now let's go ahead and let's calculate this out. Well, 3x squared is our highest exponent, so that's what's going to come first. And then I'm going to have 4x plus 14x. Now I'm going to add the coefficients. That's going to give me 18. And then I'm going to keep it as x. Remember, I'm not adding the exponents there. And then I'm left with minus 6. So this right here is your final answer for that problem. Let's take a look at these ones. These ones are typically ones that I use the box method. You probably have learned FOIL as well. If you're more comfortable with FOIL, go for it. I just typically use the box method. So I'm going to set up my parentheses. I'm going to put x plus 1 on top, and I'm going to put 2x plus 1 on the bottom. So then I have 2x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. 1 times x is x, and 1 times 1 is just 1. So then I have 2x squared plus 2x plus x is going to be 3x, and then plus 1. So that right there is your final answer for number 3. Let's take a look at number 4. So for number 4, what we want to do again is use the box method. So I have x, and I'm going to write minus 1 because I want to make sure you guys are remembering to take the sign with it. So minus 1 needs to go there, and x minus 3 needs to go there. So now I'm going to take x times x. Well, when you multiply those two together, it's x squared. Know that x times x is not 2x, okay? X times x is x squared. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 1 is positive 3. So then I have x squared minus x minus 3x plus 3. So let's just take a look. You could automatically combine your like terms from the box if you wanted to. So we can go ahead and subtract those. So then we have x squared minus 4x plus 3. So that right there is your final answer for number 4. All right, let's take a look at these ones. A lot of students want to tell me that this is x squared plus 36. That is simply not true, okay? Because what you need to do is you need to look at this right here as being x plus 6 times x plus 6. You can't just simply multiply in the exponent, okay, because of that plus sign there. If there's a plus sign in the middle, then you have to write it out as two binomials being multiplied together. So we have x and 6. And we have x and 6. So x times x is x squared. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times x is 6x. And 6 times 6 is going to give us 36. So then we can go ahead and write out our terms. So we have x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 36. And then you're going to combine your like terms, your two 6x's. So then we're going to get 12x and then plus 36. Okay? So we get x squared plus 12x plus 36. Okay, so then what I want you guys to do right now is if you have your cheat sheet, go ahead and jot some stuff down. This is what I want to know. I do suggest having the rules of exponents on there. So go ahead and get started working on your cheat sheet. And once you're done with that, you can work on the Unit 3 review as well as the next portion of your review packet. And that concludes this video. Thanks for listening.